This is the brand new Mirai mousepad from Hystar's new Elite series. It's my first experience with the company, and I've got to be honest, I really like this surface. They're best known for their uniquely printed desk pads, and as far as I'm aware, Mirai is a Japanese given name that directly translates to future, which is a rather apt description as the Elite series is positioned to replace the existing Pro line. The Hystar Mirai comes in at 490 by 420mm in size and is flat packed, meaning you're presented with a fantastic delivery and unboxing experience, with absolutely no wait time for it to flatten out on your desk. There are also a few bonuses included in the box too, and I'm personally a big fan of that included coaster. There will be 300 available for this first edition, minus those that have already been sent to reviewers, and this one comes with their golden standard print. I understand that applying sublimation-based designs on xsoft poron type bases has been typically difficult to do, and whilst it is nice to see they've overcome the hurdle, in this case it's probably my one point of criticism as well. Now I use the mouse cam on stream, placing my webcam on top of the monitor and then angling it down, and trying to simultaneously position the print at a perfectly horizontal level has been nothing short of frustrating. I'd prefer more of an intentionally angled design, but my crazy OCD aside, there are no physical issues with the print, and its glide remains consistent across the pad as well, and does the performance of my Depad V3 sensor. Now, the art of reviewing a pad is to seemingly find the most stupid looking test, treat it as some kind of performance indicator, and then throw in a few buzzwords that have been complemented by the use of a thesaurus to explain the thought process behind it. This isn't a dig at anyone specific, it's just an obvious truth, because lifting your pad at an angle to see how long it takes for your mouse feet to lose traction will ultimately have no bearing on how most of us will both feel and perform when our skin makes contact with the surface, which for me has always been the most telling indicator. So point is, whilst they might have some merit in separating pad A from B, perhaps the only way in fact for a graph, it'd be best to find a reviewer who enjoys the same types of surfaces as you, with or without a sleeve, and then lead more into their word as gospel. If that's me then great, but if not, that's cool too. So anyway, I'm a fabric pad guy through and through, and for me a surface should be soft to the touch and near smooth for comfort, featuring a weave that's relatively tight, but not so tight that it still provides a subtle texture that can be felt on skin contact, which typically aids with control. Finding that balance has always been key, and too tight or loose of a weave can often lead to hair getting stuck in the surface, or a sticky experience which can negatively impact both initial friction and micro adjustments. In layman's terms, if my thumb or pinky bounces around when it's time to make small adjustments, or if I can feel pointy bits when tracking, it's straight back in its box. I'm glad to say that I really like what Hystar have ultimately achieved here with the Mirai. They've effectively taken 3.5mm of extra soft poron type foam and then applied a soft touch matted down hybrid surface, which reminds me a little of Artisan Hien or Pulsar Power Control. Manages to achieve both control and speed, equal on both the X and Y axis, whilst avoiding all of the bad stuff I mentioned previously. I have no issues with holding angles and initiating movement, and I also welcome that added speed without it being overkill for tracking directional changes in games like Apex, Quake and Overwatch. It's always good to have a central foot around the sensor when soft bases are concerned, but here there's not much movement, likely due to the limited thickness, coupled with that hybrid-like surface texture, so I wouldn't say it's necessary. The base itself is very sticky, so it's not going to go anywhere when it's on your desk, and then surrounding the pad you'll find thin, soft and high quality stitched edging. This rests just below the surface as well, meaning it doesn't catch on my mouse feet if I overextend, which should help in reducing fraying over time as well. The Hystar label does extend into the surface on the lower left, but that hasn't annoyed me once during gameplay, and I personally like that design from an aesthetic stance.
3, 2, 1, fight!
So gaming on the Mirai. Let's get the obvious question out of the way first. Will I main it today? No. But could I main it tomorrow? Yes, without question. In terms of mousepads, I typically lean towards slower surfaces, and that's not because I have anything against those that are faster, it's just that I find they require much more discipline when using. The Mirai is such an unbelievably fun pad to use in that respect, but like with the endgame MPX 390, I often find myself playing faster and flicking more. Now of course there's nothing wrong with that, but it would ultimately come down to your own playstyle, and playing on a slower pad in my experience has typically led toward deliberate and intentional decision making for me. So whilst the surface can physically impact your ability to play X or Y game based on its perceived speed or stopping power, there's definitely something to be said about the person using it as well. I personally enjoy the mud pad experience of the Zowie GSR, or the slightly faster experiences of the Spire Kamek, Xtrify GP4 Street, or Lethal Gaming Gear's Saturn Pro. So whilst the Mirai is a brilliant offering that lands somewhere between, I'd say, the Saturn Pro and MPX 390, and whilst I have hit some quite frankly ridiculous shots with the Surface, I'm not yet prepared to attempt that switch. However, let's be real, I also thought a 48g Pulsar X Lite was too light at time of review, and that I'd play better on my 86g Death Adder V2. But now, having swapped over to the 58g Death Adder V3, I really could not go back, so I fully expect it to be a similar situation with the speed of Surface 2. Perhaps once they launch a design that's more to my taste, I'll give it a proper shot, so maybe a Phantom or Vanta Black Edition could be great. At $50 including shipping in the US, I'd say it's priced well for what's on offer, and if you're in the market for a fabric-based cloth pad that's fast, and one that doesn't skimp on quality, one that also enables you to play all genres of competitive FPS, from tactical to arena, then I'd 100% consider picking one up to try. I can't speak to its humidity resistance, so we'll have to see how it holds up throughout the year, but I don't foresee any issues during the summer or the winter month, the latter of which can be particularly annoying as the Surface takes long to warm up, your hands stay cold, and, well, cold hands equal bad aim. Anyway, thanks to Hystar for reaching out and sending out the pad, it's very much appreciated, and I very much look forward to future drops. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and if you have any questions or comments, then make sure you leave them down below. For now though, take care, keep gaming, and I'll see you in the next video.
Что? Не.
You're lucky, I like it. Reloading. Taking fire. Ooh, you needed me, shit.
I don't.